Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar with Captwix today. Today our webinar is about AI and using third-party integration in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. In today's webinar, we have our speaker Sai Raghavan. He's a solution architect. So he'll be taking you throughout this process of showing how AI and all these integrations happens with Microsoft 365 Business Central. Before we begin this webinar, there is a small request that we want to make with you. Like, do not turn off your, please turn off your camera and microphone. Feel free to type any questions in the Q&A box. And if you have any questions, we'll be taking it at the end of this session. Today's agenda, if we talk very quickly about today's agenda, so it's about the role of AI within Dynamics 365 Business Central, and we'll be also talking about customization flexibilities. A bit about our speaker today. We have Sai Raghavan as our speaker. He's a solution architect of Dynamics 365 Business Central. He's a trusted advisor. About Captivix, we are a digital business transformation company focusing on ERP implementation, custom development, and AI implementation. So without much ado, I would like to invite our speaker today, Sai Raghavan. So over to you, Sai. Let's make it a powerful session for everyone. So welcome, Sai.
Thanks, Nehal. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining again today. This is our fourth webinar on Business Central and the capabilities of Business Central as a full-fledged ERP for your business. Today's topic is going to be a general topic and probably the trend in the market that's going on, which is AI, artificial intelligence, and I'd like to talk about what is it with the artificial intelligence within the Business Central platform. I guess there's a lot of users out there already using Business Central, and they're eager to see how is AI integrated into Business Central, because this is one of the newest features that that got added, or let's say it's the latest upgrade that we had. Some of the AI tools got added, and the users are very much curious to see how can they use it on their day-to-day activities. So I'd like to have this webinar today from a very general perspective about what is AI. We have these other terminologies in the industry going on called the Copilot and OpenAI, and just to give you a general idea of this AI features before even getting into the Business Central platform. Right. So we'll start with this Copilot, because Copilot is a pretty new term. We are right now sitting in December of 2023, and Copilot, is the terminology from Microsoft. It's basically a tool from Microsoft that started in the mid of 2023. So Copilot is nothing but the Microsoft's AI tool. It's developed collaborating the Microsoft Azure with the OpenAI platform. Okay, so Microsoft Azure, I think a lot of people are now aware, it's the cloud computing service. This is where our cloud solution is housed, and the performance of the ERP solution and the data management perspective is happening through the cloud, which is the Microsoft Azure platform. And now we also have this OpenAI, which is the AI research lab. It's now a collaboration with OpenAI to see if we can make use of the AI models into the Microsoft's platform, through Azure. And that's how the Copilot is now born, right? Microsoft AI, this is the company, or let's say the research lab that releases the models that you have heard in the market, like GPT, GPT-3, GPT-4. I think a lot of people are now known to the famous ChatGPT. It's using one of these models, right? What is right now in the market is GPT-4, which is the latest one. We were using GPT-3 model. And the GPT is nothing but, it's called the Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and it's known for its ability to understand and generate human-like text and provide queues um, in the applications or in the coding platforms, right? So OpenAI is providing these models, and Microsoft Azure is housing this model, giving this solution called the Copilot, which is which is getting into the Business Central space as well. So we can use the services that is released by these models into the day-to-day usage of the Business Central ERP platform. Um, so when we talk about this GPT-3 and GPT-4, um, I think to my knowledge, at least, where it got started is, when people started writing codes, when they started customizing the software, these models, they provide suggestions, when writing the software. So it becomes much easier to make a custom coding as opposed to someone, manually writing the entire coding aspect. So there are some quick ways to write the code with some contextual code suggestions by these models. Because these models have been trained on a vast amount of coding and natural language data. So it's helping thereby the developers to write the coding on a much easier fashion, right? That's where it got started, and then it slowly got into the end user, um, uh, the end user level, to use this directly on a platform like Business Central. And also you might have seen in various mobile applications, including the ChatGPT I mentioned, you're able to ask a question and then you're able to get a really custom, or let's say a human-like answer from these models, right? So again, just going back to the general concept of this AI, I think there is this categorization of weak AI as the strong AI. People call the weak AI to be the narrow AI. Weak AI is something, as common as we use today, like the language translation. When you take a picture of a text and the system is able to translate that in a different language, right? You're able to take a picture of an of something. Basically, it's an image recognition, and the system is able to recognize that image and give you more insights about that image, or give you similar images and stuff like that, which is coming under the umbrella of image recognition, right? So all this come under the weak AI category. And I think it can also include like a robot playing an online game with us. Okay. So all this comes under weak AI, versus a strong AI, which is definitely much more superior. It's considered to be having a human level intelligence, or even outperform human intelligence in some cognitive activities, like you might have heard companies like building a robot with social awareness and understanding human behavior and emotions. So those are considered to be like a strong AI model. Okay. So between this weak and strong AI, I think we should understand where Business Central is standing. So definitely Business Central with this Copilot feature is a weak AI at this moment, which I think by itself has started to contribute a lot in our day-to-day system operations, which I'm going to demo a couple of things in the system today in Business Central, and we're only hoping that we get more in the future. So I think that's about a little bit about the background of what is Copilot and where this is coming from, about the OpenAI models and stuff like that. So I think we covered those 3 points. The fourth one here is about the actual AI features in BC. So I think I should be able to demonstrate a couple of the AI features in BC today. Again, it's still on a very infancy stage. It's just right in the market, just right out in the market. Needs a lot of tweaking, I would think, and still not have been reached to a lot of users because of the upgrades that is planned to happen in the near future. So I'm going to show you whatever that we have right now in the current version that I am using today. So we'll start with something very simple. AI, like I mentioned, the weak aspect of the AI, which is still helpful in day-to-day activities in Business Central. And then I can take you to other planned AI features that's going to be out there in the market that Microsoft has already announced to the public. We saw a couple of Microsoft videos and some keynotes by Microsoft talking about this AI features, which is going to hit the platform in the near future. So everybody's excited about it. So let's take a quick look into what we have right now. I'm going to be sharing my Business Central screen. Just one moment. Okay. There we go. Yes, I see Business Central now. So here's the Business Central platform I think we've been using to walk us through various conversations and demos. It is a demo company, and it's straight vanilla from Microsoft. I'm using the data that we know, which is already in this demo company. So the first one I want to talk to you about is the marketing text. I think a lot of people would have also seen on the Microsoft published videos on AI, which is I think is pretty cool. I'd like to get a little bit more detail in the demonstration of this tool. So I'm in the items list. Okay, we have a bunch of items here. So this could be your inventory items or your non-inventory items or service items. So everything is in this list. And some of the ones up here are the sample items from Microsoft's demo company. And I think it's a really good sample data for us to test this feature today. So I'm going to be going into, let's say, one of these items, let's say the Antwerp conference table. So I'm going to open that. Okay. So this appears to be like, it's like a conference table. I can see the picture here. And some tables, some chairs are around. And the idea is the marketing text that you see in here, right? Especially when you have an online platform like Shopify or any other web service, through which you're integrating your Business Central system to. I think this really helps for the marketing piece of it to show up on the online platform, for the customers to see what kind of item it is, like a description of the item. And I think you might have seen in a lot of websites, online websites that talk about the description of the item, the details of the item, right? This is a good tool that you can generate an AI marketing text without you having to spend the time and money to create it for each and every item, okay, using the AI model, okay, which is what I'm going to demonstrate today. There are some prerequisites for this marketing text to come out really well. So Microsoft is also giving this image recognition part of the AI. So I think it's good to have an image. So it tries to, look through the image and see what it is, and then comes with a marketing text to appreciate that image that you have captured for this item. Along with attributes, right? So that's a pretty standard feature in Business Central. So when you create an inventory item, you can set some item attributes. For example, in this case, like color, depth, width, height, like dimensions of the item, and the description of the item, like what it is made of, like wood, and mentions cotton here. Right. So you can add a lot of those attributes, and this can also help in the generation of the marketing text. Okay. So it's pretty simple. You just have to enable this feature in Business Central and just click on that button here, create with Copilot, right? The one that we talked about. So that's the AI tool in Business Central, or let's say with Microsoft. So when you just click on that, it kind of starts reading this attribute information and the picture, and it comes with a really cool marketing text like this. So it says, yeah, get a seat at the table of success with Antwerp conference table. It's the right choice, right? How cool is that? Like it really, sounds very salesy for a marketing text. And then it also gives more information like, step up your meeting game with a stylish and functional conference table, and it's constructed with high quality content. So let's click on this edit button to read the entire stuff because yeah, there's not enough space there. And you can see in here, the system has included all the attributable informations like the dimensions, right? Along with the text in between. And we saw the material, so that's also included in the text, so which is pretty cool. I think for a lot of us, it's not a big surprise because I think we started using the um, the AI chatbots these days. So these kind of texts are really cool in most of these applications. But right now, I think the surprising or the benefit here is to see this within Business Central, right? You don't have to go into an external chatbot to create or generate this text and then bring it into Business Central and then publish it into your online sources. You have it built within the Business Central, and I think you can also have buttons to push to your online platforms like Shopify, for example, right? And what's really interesting about this feature here is about the emphasis. And these are different kinds of the emphasis options that the system has provided. Like if you set that to innovation and rerun that function, the text gets changed to a different emphasis about innovation in this case, right? You can see the text got changed a little bit, right? Um, and then yeah, about sustainability, power. So I think we got to now pick what is that it is relevant for the specific item and just generate the text. And also the tone of voice, as I think it's also very cool that I found when I was trying this out. Like, there's a formal tone of voice versus casual and upbeat and creative, right? I think we had set to inspiring. So if you just set this to upbeat and create draft, and yeah, the tone is a little different here. It says made in style. It's a white wonder, right? So you can edit this and yeah, you can also have your own formatting included in there. And then if you're all good with that, you just can click on OK to that, and that actually saves that as the marketing text. So this is one part, which is the main AI part of generating the content within Business Central. Now, I think today's topic is also to talk about integration to third-party tools, which is where now we can talk about how this information is being used to your third-party tools, like your online platforms. Unfortunately, I don't have an online platform that is connected to this database to show you in action. But we have Shopify. It's a Microsoft-powered app that's already built in within Microsoft Business Central. So you can see there's a bunch of Shopify functions that you can connect the system to the Shopify store, online store, using the URL and all the relevant setup required. And once that connection is in place, these two systems are now real-time connected. So any new item being created in the system and all of these additional information like the marketing text and pictures, whatever that you add and manage within Business Central is now mirrored at the Shopify platform, which makes it very easy to manage your data between these two platforms, right? Including inventory. I think inventory was the very key for these integrations. I think when we talk about third-party integrations, people ask about how connected it is. Like, is it real time, or does it need a fortnightly update, or does it need any manual push and things like that? So generally talking about integrations in this quick instance, most of the integrations that we can do with Business Central are real time because these are connected through the API, the application interfaces. So it is once when updates happen, the data is being communicated back and forth between these two applications, right? Which makes our lives much easier in terms of managing your external platforms through your central ERP system, like Business Central. So that's one of a good feature that was published by Microsoft, which I think we are able to do a good demonstration. And I think a couple more nuances on this one. So you can actually go ahead and then edit the attributes as well. So if you think it's not, edit in the sense like you can remove or add an attribute into the text that gets generated if you think that the color is really not something that we should include in the text because you might provide in different colors. So the color should not be a standard text in the marketing content. You can just exclude that, right? And then rerun the draft. So you will see that you will not see the mention of the white color, right? Because it will then make it very general. Maybe it's available in multiple colors. You can include that in the text somewhere that you think that's relevant. So you can actually tweak what attributes to add versus what not. So again, coming back to the main concept, it's like garbage in, garbage out. So as long as the data that you're setting up here is in good shape, the text that will get generated by the AI will also look good. So attributes is a definite input for the text. Picture, I think, is optional. Okay, so that's one of the features. The other feature to about is the bank reconciliation function with Copilot. So this is one that's not released in this version right now, but again, this was published by Microsoft as one of the upcoming features. I think it'll be available in the very near future, in the next upgrade or so. I'd like to just talk through this. Unfortunately, not able to demonstrate, but I think you'll get a pretty good idea of what this is going to be. Um, so in the prior versions of Business Central, you're able to do a bank reconciliation. I think the very first version that we had with Business Central allowed us to do a bank reconciliation where you have to manually um, um, populate the lines of the check entries and the payment entries and start marking them as cleared, by comparing it with a statement, right? And then you have to enter um, obviously the stating ending balance and the and the GL balance to see the variance. And then it got a little bit refined where they provided the option to import a bank statement, and then there's an automatic function to match the lines based on date and description. So basically, the system is able to suck the statement lines and compare it with the ledger lines um, between the dates and description, and it's trying to match when there's a common information found by the dollar amount. Now, what the newest update here is again using the Copilot. The Copilot goes one level beyond that. It does not stop at just looking into the date, description, and the amount, but also suggests you um, that there could be possible duplications, and it shows you the lines that are duplicates and gives you the option to review those duplicates with confidence levels, so you're able to do a proper reconciliation with a lot of support by the system. Okay, so a lot of your manual work, like looking into duplicate dollar amounts for multiple customers or for the same customer with different dates. And then some external transactions which does not hit the system, like your bank fee, interest, and other miscellaneous transactions which does not hit the ERP system. The system is able to suggest you what GL accounts that you can use to match those lines, and lets you to create a journal entry. Okay, so you don't have to go into a journal entry screen and manually create those lines. with a click of a button, the journal entries are created with a suggestion of what expense accounts to use. So you simply take it up, accept those suggestions and post your bank rec. So yeah, those buttons I am not able to show you up here, but there's the Copilot feature which we saw in the demonstration from Microsoft, that gives you the option to run the automatic matching function between the statement lines that you can import from the bank and the ledger entries that you have posted into the system. Okay, so all this is actually making your reconciliation time much faster and quicker. And just a general thing in Business Central, you can do as many reconciliations as you need. There's really no limitation of just doing one bank rec per month. You can plan to do once in 5 days or 10 days, or whatever the frequency is, to so it does not show up as a very extensive activity for your month end. So yeah, it's coming up. Copilot in bank account reconciliations. The other couple of features that we heard and we were able to give it a little bit of a try is one, the late payment predictive analysis. So this is to give you some predictions on late payments by customers, right? So you might have a lot of transactions by customers, and the system can analyze your historical transactions. If the customer has paid it on time or closer to the due date, or maybe beyond the due date, and by how many days, the system is able to run a model and see the transactions of your historical data and gives you a prediction whether the future invoice is going to be paid on time or not, right? So that's, as we explained, that's the late payment predictive analysis, which is also supported through the AI model. Again, there's a couple of setup that we have to turn it on in the system. Once you turn that on, you're able to see a KPI on the home screen. For example, on this one here, there's a button to show sales invoices predicted overdue. Fortunately, it's 0, but yeah, there could be chances where it shows a few documents, and when you click on that, it will take you through a list of what invoices that we have, posted for these customers that can go for a late payment by them. And it's going to show you who is the customer, what's the invoice number, okay, the amount of the invoice, the payment prediction. The payment prediction is going to say something like, high confidence versus low confidence. So how confident is the prediction? That's this part about. And then it's going to give you the probable date that you're expecting that invoice to be paid. So this is going to give you a good analysis for coming up with a strategy to get the payment sooner, basically, right? So you're going to reach out to those customers and just check with them, or probably change the payment terms for them accordingly for the near future. So it's basically an input for those actions that you can perform based on this predictive analysis. It also can predict even before you post. So we just talked about invoices that is posted, but even when you create a brand new sales invoice, so let's go to the sales invoice function, and I'm going to do a new transaction. And I'm going to pick a customer that I know I've used multiple times in this demo company, and I'm seeing this for a reason. I'll explain in a bit. So let's say the first customer here. Okay. So it picks the document date, which I think the system is set for a past date right now. So let's directly change the due date to be 12/31 of this year. Okay, by the end of this year, and we'll just pick any item with the quantity, and let's say the total value of the invoice is $1,000.80. Now, even before you post this invoice, you can check the prediction. So you can click on this button here, predict payment, and this is where now the system is checking the AI model. And what the AI model does is basically looking into your past transactions and giving you a prediction. And here you can see the payment is predicted to be on time with high confidence into the prediction. Okay. And how can the system say this? It's only because of the data that is in the system. So garbage in, garbage out, right? So it requires a lot of, so I mean, for the prediction to be high, I mean, for the confidence to be high in the prediction, there definitely needs to be a good amount of data for the system to do the analysis. So generally, when you go into this implementation with like a blank slate, um, these predictive tools are not so great to start with. So it is something that the system learns. So that's where the machine learning comes in, right? So machine learning is also part of the AI, by the way. So it tries to learn based on the data that keeps getting posted for various customers with various dollar amounts and dates, and it gives this prediction. So more the data, higher the confidence is basically, right? And this and for instance, this is high confidence because the reason I was mentioning that I'm picking the most commonly used customers because I know for sure there's a lot of data in here, and that's why it comes with a high confidence. And for instance, if I create a brand new customer, let's go to the customers list, right? And I'm going to do a brand new customer company. I'll call this to be customer XYZ. Okay. And really nothing, no other information that I'm going to give in this account for now, except the posting groups. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a sales invoice right away for this customer. It's a brand new customer, no data at all so far. And I'm going to set the due date to be the same as 12/15, which is another 2 days, right? And then pick the same item, for example, same quantity. And let's check the prediction right now, predict payment. Okay. So the payment is predicted to be on time with low confidence in prediction. And I can relate to why it is because it's new customer, no data. So naturally the confidence is low. Okay. So that is a pretty good tool. I think that we can start incorporating in this system. Again, like I mentioned, we can either load your historical data to have this kind of a prediction on day one, or you will see the system getting refined with the prediction on a day-to-day basis as and when you start posting more transactions. So this is one of the features that we have right now in Business Central. The other one, again, I can talk through that. Unfortunately, we don't have the models active to give you a really in-depth demonstration. This is on demand forecasting. I think this is going to be helpful for people who are in the logistics, warehousing, and in the inventory management space, right? So this is a tool that you can be using for your MRP and MPS planning when you deal with sales orders and manufacturing for the sales orders, and then maybe also procuring the raw materials for those manufacturing orders, and coming up with a demand forecast of the inventory data. The system typically uses the historical data, just like what we showed right now, to give you the demand forecasting. So if you have a lot of data, it goes, a couple of months back or a couple of years back to tell you what is it is forecasting for this item to be, to be kept in stock and procured. But with the AI, the Copilot on the AI tools in place, we can um, get the support of the models and the data of similar sized companies, like a small and a mid-sized company or the same industry, from a public um, AI model and use that for prediction. Okay, so basically we're talking about a public predictive tool um, that is out there in the market, and I'm going to show that in you in a moment. Um, and you can incorporate that data for your forecasting and prediction. So demand forecast is something, without the AIs even available in the ERP system. This has been there for a while in Business Central, and yeah, this is all within, I mean, based on your historical data within the system. So whatever that you have done in the past month or past year for that one item or multiple items, you're able to generate a forecast. But the AI comes in picture as well to give you a much more um, confident prediction, which can be set up, in the sales forecast setup area, sales and inventory forecast setup. There are the fields in the system to provide those API and URLs where the predictive models are out there that you can incorporate into the system. And how you can do that, there is the Azure AI Gallery, which is the public predictive models that I was talking about. So you can run that model and copy that model into your Business Central system to incorporate that AI data. This is going to get a little more technical. This definitely involves a developer and a consultant to help you, connect the AI to your Business Central. But once it's done, it's going to be getting the feeds from the AI data to run your internal forecasting. So those are some of the key, AI tools that we have seen within Business Central, and people have already started using it. Um, Results have, I've heard that results are coming out really well, but still, like I mentioned, um, it keeps getting refined based on more data going in there. So it needs to be carefully analyzed before you can put that to use. But definitely in the weaker areas like the marketing text that we can see, those are really cool functions that you can start using them right away. But on top of this, okay, this is not limited to what you see right now. This is an open ERP system, meaning it's open for customizations, it's open for additional developments. So the scope is only large when it comes to how well can you customize your system to use the data models out there. So I'm going to be talking about, give me one moment, stop sharing the screen here and bring up the slide deck. To talk about the third-party add-ons and customization. So how flexible is the Business Central platform for customizations? So we have a couple of different topics on this page right now. So there is this third-party add-on tools, and then there's your customizations that you can do within the Business Central um, coding space, right? So before we get into each of these, we want to understand the concept of APIs, right? Basically, API, it's an application programming interface. That's what it stands for. So Business Central, provides a set of APIs that enable, integration with external systems. There are some apps out there that you can connect the Business Central to. And how do you connect it is by means of this API. So API is simply the connector between two applications. And in this case, we're talking about Business Central versus a third-party tool, right? So the point of emphasis here is that Business Central is providing those APIs, which is the connected tools. So as long as the third-party tools are API capable to connect, there's a strong chance that, we can connect the ERP tool to get the information back and forth flowing between these two systems. So that is, I think, is a very, a very flexible situation for third-party tools. So anything that you see in the market, that is the very first thing that we should be looking at. Is it API compatible, right? If yes, then we have to look into the details to see how compatible it is and what is that we have to do to connect these two systems. So it's not like a plug and play. It's not as easy as a plug and play. Definitely there is a development that's involved. A developer needs to connect these two using this API and then make some customizations as to the mapping to be done between these two systems, what tables need to talk, when does the communication between these two should happen back and forth. So those logic needs to be still there, but at least that it is not as extensive, or let's say it's not as um, difficult to do this customization from, when you compare it to do it from scratch. It's plug and play plus a little bit of customization to have the connection done. Okay, so that's about APIs. So basically it is helping to exchange the data between these two systems, maybe to automate some of the processes, or maybe even to extend a certain functionality within Business Central, using that third-party tool. So once we understand that concept of APIs, now we can talk about extension marketplace. So this is like the app source, right? Like the Google Play app that you see in your mobile phones. This is the app source for Microsoft. I'm going to share that screen to you so you get an idea of how it looks like. So when you're in Business Central and when you have the permissions to look into the extension management module. So when I search for extension management, you can get a list of all the extensions that are connected to Business Central. So Business Central is the base system, and these are some of the apps that are either provided by Microsoft or by a third-party tool. And you can see that from this column here. You can see the publisher is Microsoft. Okay, so which means these are coming into the system directly by Microsoft through their upgrades. Okay, either when you are setting up their license, and after you set up the license and start using it, when the regular upgrades come, they get added to this list, and you can see the publisher, I think in all of these lines here to be Microsoft. But what you can also do is install an extension from a third-party provider through the app source, which is the extension marketplace. So when you click on this one, it takes you to this web platform, which is the app source, where there's a lot of apps available for various kinds of functionalities. That these apps find it's not within the Business Central platform yet. So these could be like small functionalities to provide some gaps here and there, right? So right now, as you see here, there are about 4,500 or let's say close to 5,000 apps for Microsoft Business Central available. You can search through these apps to see which one can be used for you if there's any gap. And you can also see the provider of these apps, the company that's providing these apps to you. So you can pretty much search for it. You can click on it and understand what that app does, just like the same way as how we install apps in our mobile phones and tablets. It explains what they do. There are some apps that are free. And there are some apps that are, paid like a subscription model. So you will get to the details when you see through these details here. But all of these are powered by Microsoft. Okay, that's a very important concept we have to understand, because they're not like, any phishing apps or apps that could be a potential threat to the company. These are powered by Microsoft, meaning Microsoft has vetted through these and has gone through the security levels and recommending that this could be an app with no security threats for your business and the data, right? And then whether how much is going to be helpful, we have to understand through this descriptions and then install it. So basically, you can do a free trial, you can install it. So these are like ready-made, or let's say readily available apps. You can either pay for it and start using them right away, um, or you can install them and then do a little bit coding on top of it to get the best out of the already provided app functionality. So that's what is about, your plug and play apps that are available on the app source. Let me go back to the slide deck to talk about the other aspect, which is customization. Um, so this is the custom coding, which is done through extensions, right? It's called an extension in Microsoft because you're not creating something from scratch. You're basically extending the base code of Business Central, writing that custom code. So I'll give you an example. Let's say on the payment platform, the system is able to give you a file right now with the native app, and you'd like that file to be, sent directly to a cloud solution or a cloud folder. Now we download it in the systems folder. So that's a custom coding, right? So you can write a custom code, um, to direct that file now to be exported into a cloud folder. So that's the extension that you are doing on the standard code, as opposed to doing something from scratch. And there's a lot of restrictions and possibilities that the Microsoft is providing you for writing these custom codes. But the emphasis here is, you are able to do some custom coding of the existing functionality through what we call as these extensions. So what does it really need to these extensions to be created? Definitely needs a developer, right? So not anybody can just go in and create an extension, because it needs a certain knowledge about the coding of the Business Central, which runs by the C/AL language. So someone needs to know that code and be able to write in that coding language in order to create those extensions. Okay, so Captivix has a bunch of developers from our side to do those custom coding, and we've done a lot of customizations, which are definitely done on the grounds of best practices, um, to automate almost anything that the customer is requiring on top of the standard Business Central. So that's about customizations. This point about here is to register, authenticate, develop. So this is where when you connect the Business Central to a third-party tool. So it's an external tool, right? So we don't want it to just connect right away. This is the technical layer where the system is registering the tool, that there's a third-party tool, and then there's some sort of an authentication done between these two systems. And then you can develop some custom code on top of it, which is where you develop the logic of how does the information get transmitted between these two systems at what time, and the logic behind it and so forth, right? So those are those three typical layers that goes through the um, um, the extension aspect of connecting Business Central to the third party tool. Okay, so we understand this is a very high level webinar. It's more of talking points, but I think this gives you a pretty good idea of of the flexibility of the system. I think this is for like, laymen or let's say the end users who are not, very techie savvy. So we're not getting into that level right now. We're definitely going to bring in more webinars where the experts are going to talk to you about on a technical basis what kind of developments can be done on the coding platform, how the coding is typically done, which gives you a lot more insights about these customizations. But I guess this will give you a good start to understand about Business Central and its capabilities. So with that, I think we've come to the end of today's webinar. If you have any specific questions, please shoot them away, and I'll try my best to answer them today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sai. Thank you for the insights that you have shared today in the webinar. If you have any question, you can drop this in the Q&A. And Sai, we have got few questions during the webinar, so I'm just taking a couple of them right now. So there is a question like, do we need the does the user need to be trained on how to customize the Business Central? Is there any training involved for the AI side?
Oh, typically not. So when we do implementations, it's not that uh, the user needs to be trained for customization. Okay, so let's talk about customer. So customizations, generally, we want to avoid, right? Because obviously it's involving time and material, like time and money, in order to create that, because it's something that we have to do externally to get the system to work for your requirements. So if there is a standard workaround, definitely we would recommend that, which is native in Business Central. But if there is a requirement from your side which cannot be done through the standard functionality or through a workaround, we obviously have to customize a solution. And I think I mentioned the point where, we need a developer to help us on that, and definitely not the end user need to be trained on that, because that's a whole different ball game of being a developer and having the knowledge of developing and writing custom codes. And that's where we have people from our team who are like developers and solution architects who can design a customization and develop the custom code and deploy that extension into your Business Central so your gap is now filled. But yeah, the user need not be trained on customization,
Okay.
writing codes. Thank you.
So there is another question like, what does this customization involve? So I think you gave a pretty good insight about this, but is there anything that you can add more about what does this customization involves?
Uh, yeah, I mean the concept. Sorry, the basically the flow of customization is basically we have to understand the requirement. Uh, we have to go through the standard functionalities. If not, yes, we design the solution again on best practices. When we say best practices, it means the coding should be in a way that it does not create any ramifications on other modules that are interconnected. It shouldn't be like a fix. It should be like an effective solution, that does not affect the other modules, right? So definitely on best practices, the coding needs to be written. And um, thoroughly tested, and then given to the end user for testing, and then eventually to the production environment. So that's a typical flow of requirements gathering to deployment of the custom code.
Okay. So I think those were the couple of questions that we took. And I think that's more, if anyone has the questions, like we can guys can reach out with to our the same email ID or contact number, and we welcome you to bring to a discovery call where we can talk in length with the AI and Business Central things. So thank you guys for joining this amazing session, and thank you Sai for making this session an amazing and insightful session. So thank you guys for joining, and I think that's good. So that's all from our side. And we look forward to meet you guys in the other session that is coming up with Captivix.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.